Hello, I'm Tom Nickel. I do technical marketing and sales at Wanova. Today I'm going to show you how to deploy the trial software for Wanova Mirage. For a trial, it's ideal that you install all the components onto a single server, and in this video I'll take you through all of the steps required to set up our trial software. For the sake of this trial, I'm going to use VMware ESX to host my Mirage Server VM. Let's start by creating the Windows Server 2008 R2 VM that will host our Mirage software. We'll mostly be using default values here, but I'll point out a few places where we use custom values during this VM creation process. For example, we'll select 2 virtual CPUs instead of 1, and we'll define a 200 GB hard drive instead of 40. Once the basic configurations are complete, we'll have to point this VM to our Windows Server 2008 R2 ISO file so that Windows can load. After we click Finish, we're ready to power on our VM to start the Windows install process. Once the install process begins, we'll select all of the defaults. For the sake of this video, we're going to skip ahead to the conclusion of the Windows installation process. Our Windows Server 2008 R2 installation is complete, and we're ready to move on to the next step. We're going to need to download SQL Server 2008 R2 Express and install it, as Mirage requires a database to operate. You can download this version of SQL for free from the Microsoft site, as you can see here in our video. Once the executable has downloaded, we'll begin the install, and we'll accept all of the default values. We'll continue showing the entire SQL installation process up to its conclusion for you here in this video. Our SQL Server 2008 R2 Express installation is now complete, but before we continue, we need to add an inbound firewall exception for port 8000, which Mirage will use to communicate with endpoints. We also have to make sure that the SQL Server browser service is started and set to automatic on this server. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the Mirage trial software that you received via email, you can begin installing the Mirage server-side components. There are 3 setup files that you'll need to install, and it's crucial they get installed in the correct order. The first setup file we'll run is the Mirage Management Server component. You can leave the server names and database name defaults as is. Just be sure to click the Test Database Connection button to verify that your Mirage software can communicate properly with the database. Also, since this is the first installation, be sure to check the Create New Storage Areas option. You can leave the size value as is. On the next screen, select the Use Local System Account option and click Next to begin the installation. The second setup file we'll run is the Mirage Management Console component. There are no options to configure here. Just accept the EULA and continue. The third and final setup file we'll run is the Mirage Server component. Once again, you can accept all of the default values, but be sure to check the Create New Local Cache Area option since this is a new install. On the next screen, again select the Use Local System Account option and click Next to begin the installation. Once this final installation component has installed, we'll be prompted to reboot our Mirage server, which we'll do. Our Mirage server has just finished rebooting after installing the Mirage server components. All we have to do now is bring up our Mirage Management Console, which is where you'll manage this Mirage server and the endpoints you connect to it. To do this, bring up MMC, select the Add Remove Snap-in option from the menu, and then find the Wanova Mirage Snap-in, and add it. Once you've done this, right-click on the Wanova Mirage tab and select the Add System option. Here, you can just input localhost. This will add this Mirage server to your Mirage Management Console. The Mirage server will connect, and you can then begin managing this Mirage server. But before we do anything else, let's add a desktop shortcut for easy access in the future. One last thing to do before we install the Mirage client on our endpoints is to make sure we have the IP address of this server, as we'll need it for the client-side installation. Our Mirage server is now completely ready to use. But let's take this video one step farther and add our first client to this Mirage server. I've started a plain old Windows 7 VM in my ESX environment. I've copied my Mirage trial software to this VM so that I can run the Mirage client installer here. When I run the installer, I'll want to do it from the command line, as I need to specify the IP address of the Mirage server that I just installed. After my Mirage client installs, we'll have to do a quick reboot. But once that reboot completes, we'll go back to the Mirage server, where we'll use our Mirage Management Console to work on this new endpoint. Now that we can see the Mirage client is installed on our Windows 7 endpoint, let's go back to the Mirage Management Console on our Mirage server. We'll find this new endpoint in the Pending Devices queue under our Devices tab. This is where all newly added endpoints will start. To centralize this endpoint, all I have to do is right-click it and select the Create New CVD option. This will begin the process of storing a virtual clone of this endpoint in our data center. There is plenty more to do in Mirage, but we hope this video was able to assist you in installing our trial software and centralizing your first endpoint. For more information, please visit our website for additional materials, and thank you for deciding to trial the Wanova Mirage software.